So far, what I'm thinking about doing, let's see, is I was thinking about putting these over here or over here. Now this is in the way. So what I thought about was raising them up a little bit. This is heavier gauge than this. So I hate to weld to this. If I could weld to this, this is definitely stronger. The whole thing will be maybe 100 pounds. So I'm sure if I put 100 pounds on here, it's not gonna break. But I think it's better off putting 100 pounds right by the wheels. It's going to be really important that these things are exactly parallel, or else I'll never be able to pull it out and put it back in. There's a weld here. If I was smart, I'd stay away from it and put this just a little bit forward of the wheel, like this. To worry about this burning at least. Okay, there's that. That's what it looks like. Ass. But you know what? Like I said, who cares? When I'll grind it down, as long as it stays there. I don't really care what it looks like. I got some woodworking clamps. So the receivers will be welded on top of the supports I just attached. The receivers are 1¼ inch and need to be completely parallel, so when I connect the support bars, they can slide in and out. I'm trying not to touch them, because if they move even a drop, it's gonna mess up. So from here to here is 26 and about 3/8. And in the back here, I'm sure the camera's not picking it up, but it's the same 26 and 3/8. horrible. That's okay. As long as it holds, I don't care. There's this. All right. My next move is going to be put those two things in, connect them so it can come out in one piece. All right. So this thing sits forward like so. Perfect, doesn't fit. That's great. No, so the idea here is I'm going to put something going across this way for it to sit on. So I put the water reservoir where I wanted it, and I'm just measuring to the front of where the tank is going to sit to give me the length of the metal tubing I need. I'm going to just cut the rest of it off. All right. Put this up on here. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm putting it. All right, this will work. Back here. Okay. Feet. Hold on, let's see. All right. Wish I could put like crazy glue. All right. Got it. So don't do this. If you're going to do a project like this, weld it in place. In other words, leave those bars in the receiver and weld it together with it in the receiver. I'll explain to you why in a couple of minutes. So apparently when you weld something on the floor and not in place, it can distort. Because when I took the whole thing back to the mower, it no longer was, the two bars were no longer parallel, and it wouldn't fit into the receiver on the mower. I'm like, holy cow, they were a little too close. So obviously that metal bar pulled the two ends a little bit closer than they were. So if you look at the right side of the video here near me, you can see a clamp. I took a woodworking clamp and I put some tension on that side in order to get it to fit into the receiver. Now I have a harebrained idea. If I heat the middle of that crossbar cherry red, I don't care if it's not as hard as the rest of it. It doesn't matter. Maybe I could do like they used to do back in the day when they had made horseshoes, like bend the metal a little bit. So I'm heating it up. I'm leaving it in place. I'm going to leave it in place to cool because if it's there right now, and that's what I'm doing to get it to fit into the two receivers to be parallel again. So I wound up putting this, it's somehow bent or moved or whatever, but I put this little thing to put just the right amount of tension so I can get it in or out. So I got to work on this. I got to work on it because it can work, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. If I weld another thing on here, it's possible that I can't tension. It's got to be exactly from here to here. So I'm not sure what I should do. Whether I should make something that I just sit over the top of this that I can remove so I don't break it, or if I should weld another piece there. So what I did was I just welded this on. It's just an L-shaped bracket. So now there's this and that are both welded on. And this, that actually fit everywhere before, now doesn't fit everywhere. Not bad. Not bad. Much better. To paint this. All right. I think that's going to have to be good enough. Good enough for this neighborhood. All right. It fits. That's all I care about. I don't think I'm going to play around with that anymore. I think that's perfect. So you can out and in, and we can access the holes that I drilled. You can see I drilled holes at the edge here. This was 2 pieces of metal. I didn't have another one of these bars, so I welded together 2 pieces. I'm going to cut out. What I want to do is put something back here just to sit on there. So I'm going to cut out notches, hopefully. I don't know if it's going to bend down. I weigh 200 something pounds. It's not going anywhere. I can stand on here without a problem. This, I'm still not sure. I painted this since last time. This sits over here in case I want to put something else on the back, in case I want to put it further towards the back over here. What I can do is cut the channels a little larger and put it over here instead. All right, so now, instead of sitting back here, it sits over here, all right? I could weld like a bolt like this, just to the side. Like right on the side, and then it won't be able to fall, then it won't be able to slide backwards. All right, that should hold. But, so I just basically welded, that was a bolt before I effed it up. All I wanted was to put a little bleb of metal on the outside of both of these so this thing can't fall off backwards. Here it is. I bought a white one, or clear. It comes in 1,000 colors. My idea is to glue it somewhere around here now. see if we got it here. It might even be better if it's not touching directly. So there's an air gap. All right, so here's where we are. I cut additional holes in this over here so that this would be all the way up to the top. And that would give me the maximum spraying distance from the sprayer down, which is only about a foot. What I really need to do is figure out a way to make sure that the back rail, this black thing that's attached to this tank, doesn't go forward and off of here. I'd like to put like a little tail on the back so it can't move forward. This is the back bar, and this was sliding off towards the front. So what I did was I cut a piece of steel and I welded it on a little bit offset, maybe like a couple of millimeters down on both of these, and then I painted it black so that this will grab and that'll catch the whole thing in order to stop this from falling off forward. So first thing we have is the tank. I welded them on the back of those tracks so that this can't fall off. You'll see in a second. Silicone on the front of it to protect it from heat. Next, you got the mower. Receivers that I welded on right there. 48-inch Exmark Turf Tracer Hydro. On there I welded those also, so the metal bar that I place on there can't fall off. This. So this wasn't there last time, but I made the hole a little bigger, so this just goes through and it keeps it from falling off. Probably not necessary. This is the thing I made, I welded. This is the boom, and I cut these a little shorter so I can install this from on the ground. I don't have to raise up the tank. Then you have the crossbar, which is right over here. And last but not least is the wiring. The tie-on straps, the tie-down straps right there, came with it. I had to cut them a little shorter. I'm gonna put it through that opening right there, and you'll see. So now I'm gonna install this. All the way through. Now I'm gonna put the pins back in so this can't fall out, okay? You know what? If I had my druthers, I'll do this from underneath. That's probably the smartest way. So it's hanging. Let's put this one on also. Okay. That's one. It'll give me the most balance on this. Number 3. I'm just gonna sit it on between there and there. So like so. Okay, now let's see if my little lip thing fits. So this side has to go under and through the little slit. All right, so that's that. I can grab it under here. Okay, so pull this across. I'm gonna put this on the outside. Let's get this attached, good. Now we're just gonna cinch it down. Like I said, this is the most difficult part right here. I don't think it necessarily matters if it's perfect. Just put a little tension. There's a little tension. Now I'll do the other side. If this is going on the, all right, so that's it. That's not going anyplace. So that's that. That wasn't too bad. You got to bring these both through first. No matter how small I make this. All right, so let's see. Let's put that down, we'll put this down. Come on, up and up. All right, I just want to catch this in here. Okay, now we're going to go all the way to the top. Even where I poked that extra hole. All right. Let's see if there's a, yeah, that's the highest, the extra hole. That's that extra hole. All right, last thing. Let's see what I want to do here. This gets attached to here. Screw it on. Let's do another cable tie over, I'll just tie it over here. Working. Finished and tired. All right, so here's what was left to do, the electrical. So what I did was, there was a little recess right here. I guess when they cast this or whatever, when they pour it, this is the positive. I don't know if you could see that little bleb, because right here was a negative. So what I did was I took something that I used when I made some furniture and I epoxied it. I poured some epoxy in here, flush. And this thing has a hole in it. So the idea is that I was able to, I don't know if you could see the hole, I was able to get a zip tie on here and keep this cord away from anything hot like the muffler, because I don't want it to burn. So when I'm not using this, this comes apart. This piece will go around here and stay with this. I spliced this. This was actually 2 different wires. There was actually an on-off. I put a second one. There was an on-off switch here, so I cut off the on-off switch. I cut it out. I attached a zip tie with a hole through it and a screw, the same screw, because I'm not using this. I took it off. I used the screw over here. So even though this comes apart, it's going to be wired in, it's going to stay there. And I'm just going to pull this when I'm not using it. This gets pulled off. Watch. I'll show you what's going to happen when I'm not using it. Like this. I color these both gray so I know they go together. This wires into here, like so. Come on, get on there. And now I could use the mower. This gets covered. I also charge the battery when I'm not using the mower, using this. This is connected to the positive and the neutral. I got rid of the lug. So this will come off of here when I'm not using this. I feel like this is gonna fall down. Hold on. Take this, wrap it up around here, and take this off. So when I am using this, I gave it a little extra, but just the right amount of tension. So this will come back over here. We'll disconnect that. You can see, disconnect this, disconnect this. This goes to the battery. I actually color-coded This one I colored it with gray so I know what goes where. That goes in here. And now, again, there's a little slack here. I could make it tighter, but I don't want to ruin it. Here, I could pull it through the zip tie a little bit, or even make the zip tie a little bit tighter, or put the zip tie, attach this. I don't care. It's not that critical, as long as that doesn't sag 1.5 feet. What I did over here was zip tied it up here, over to there. Actually, I went underneath. I went underneath here, and here's the on-off right there. And I can still operate this at full speed, full throttle. It just sits here. I mowed the lawn a couple of times already. When I made this splice, there are shrink wrap. Let me see what's in here. There's these things. These are shrink wrap crimp connectors, you know, butt joint. The first couple of splices I used this, but it's big and ugly. It works really well. This has no electrical tape on the outside. This does have electrical tape on the outside, but it's the same thing. For this one, I have the 2 shrink wrap connectors inside, and I have a larger shrink wrap connector on the outside. This over here tightens this thing down. There's the sprayers. There's the D channel that can't go anywhere. So